Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, currently in Utah. Haven't been in Colorado for a couple of months, but I think we're going to just keep the name. I will be back in Colorado by the end of August this month. But anyway, today is Tuesday, August 16th. I make no promises that this video is actually going to be uploaded today, Tuesday, August 16th, but we'll see. I am here with Flosstube number 98, and this is a cross stitch update. I have been posting weekly travel vlogs of all the places we're going and exploring, and so I know that those you may have been seeing those videos popping up every week and wondering, like, where's the stitching? So here is your stitching video. If you are not interested in seeing the travel vlog stuff, like, just skip those videos when they pop up. I try to post those on Wednesday or Thursday every week, and I know that not everybody wants to watch those, so those will always be separate, so don't worry about like missing out on this stitchy stuff. I'm also going to do book talk at the end of this video, so again, cross stitch at the beginning. If you don't care to hear about what books I've been reading, you can then check out when I get to that section. We are out in the woods right now, so you may hear some noises, some insects or some birds. I will try to edit out anything really obnoxious. There are cars that drive by periodically, and they tend to be loud, or people drive by in like side-by-sides, recreation vehicles. They can get a little loud, so I'll try to edit those out if that happens. But it is pretty quiet up here on this mountain. So speak of the devil, I got done talking about cars driving by, and one drove by. And the funny thing is that people drive by like really, really slow, and they just stare at you. So that's why I have to edit it out, because it's like loud and obnoxious. Anyway, we are in Wasatch National Forest, which is in eastern Utah. We are, I think, almost an hour east of Park City, which is like half an hour east of Salt Lake City. So we are boondocking, which means we are camping without power, electricity. We have like solar batteries, so we can do some things, but we can't do all of the things without having like real electricity. But tomorrow we are going to an RV site where we will have electricity, where we can do laundry and enjoy air conditioning, all the things. Although it's been incredibly comfortable up here. We haven't been hot at all. Anyway, that's where I'm at. But we are on the move very soon. So I know people have asked, I'm not gonna make this like a travel vlog, but people have asked me about if I'm going to like Shepherd's Bush, which is in Ogden, Utah, which is north of Salt Lake City. It's a famous local needlework store. I am not going to Shepherd's Bush. I don't think, I guess I can't say I won't, but I don't think I will be. I did go to Shepherd's Bush in April when we picked up Arlo. So I feel like, you know, I've been, it's fine. I'm not sad about it. I would have liked to go, but I have been already. But I will be going to Craft Center, which is an L&S in Salt Lake City. And then there's another store I want to check out called Pine Needles, which is a quilt shop / cross stitch store. So I do plan to hit those two next week while we're in Park City. It's only like 25 minutes away from those L&S. So I'm super excited because I have not done in-person cross stitch shopping other than like some DMC at Michael's in months and months. So I'm very excited. And there's some things I need. I've been keeping a list. So anyway, that was a quick update. So let's talk about stitching. Previous finishes. So what I finished this time last year in 2021, I finished my house series. So I think I started in 2020. I started like a seasonal house series, and I started with a like Christmas winter, and then I did fall Halloween, and then I did spring, and then I finished with summer, and I did summer in Cape Cod. So this series was 3 like colonial historical houses based on like historical cities on the East Coast. So I did Nantucket, and then I did Salem, and then I did Williamsburg, and then I finished with Cape Cod. So these were based on, for all of these series, I based them on actual houses that I found like via Google in these cities. So these are based on real places in these cities. Sometimes I did change maybe the color if the color wasn't working, but like the bones of the house are, they're real places. So anyway, summer in Cape Cod, we had, oh, and then I also like actually looked at maps and picked, when I was naming the houses, I picked real streets in these cities. So we have Huckleberry Lane, Strawberry Lane, and Salt Hole Lane, which are actual roads in Cape Cod. So those were my previous finishes from a year ago. Summer a year ago, I was working on those houses. Like I said, that did conclude the series. However, my friend Alexis from Alexis My Amazing World has put in a request, and so we might revisit. I needed a break, and I did get a break. I've taken a year off of stitching these houses. So anyway, we'll see. There might be more coming. So what have I finished since my last video? Well, I've got some pretty epic finishes. So last video I was so close to finishing Dark Queen by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and this video I actually did finish it. So I did finish Dark Queen of the Seas by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and there is a new queen coming September 1st. She will be a Queen of the Woods. I do apologize. I don't have my mirror so I can see what I'm doing. So I don't know how in frame or out of frame things are going to be. So I hope you guys will get a good view of everything. And I'll try like to kind of move around so we can make sure we see. So this is Dark Queen of the Seas. This was last year's stitch along. Well, it actually started like in September 2020 and concluded in August of 2021. I did buy the called for fabric, which is 32 count. Well, it came in different counts, but it's Bewitched by Under the Sea Fabrics. I bought the 32 count linen, and I got the bead pack and used all of that. I did change her hair. Oh, I actually have a picture of what she looked like originally. So, she came with this purple hair, which was lovely, but I did change her to have more aerial hair. And then I did the topless version. So there were various parts where you could, of the stitch along where you would be presented with more than one option. So, I did the topless version. I did the skull instead of the like crystal ball, and I changed her hair color. And then I did rechart a crown for her. I wasn't happy with the one, that was charted, but other than that, I didn't change her. One tiny change, the back stitch on the tentacles, this like amazing back stitch here. It was Petite Treasure Braid, and I think it was like a kind of an aqua color, and I didn't have it, so I used a DMC metallic with like a multicolor rainbow, and I really like how it's looking. I don't know how well it's going to pick up on camera, but in person it's really, really cool. It definitely has a rainbow effect. This is a frame I got at Michael's. It was on clearance for $19.99. It was regularly like $50. And it's just, I think it was a 14 by 18 frame. And I think that's everything I need to say about her. I'm really excited for the next queen. Someone did ask about like if I'm gonna hang this in here. No, I don't have anywhere to hang her, so she's gonna have to go back to storage. So we are going back to Colorado at the very end of August, so I will be able to get into the storage unit and stow some things and get some new fresh projects out to work on. But so that was my really big finish. Now, I also had 2 finishes that I'm not going to show just yet. So I have been stitching an antique sampler, and I did show a sneak peek of it last time, of the first version, but since then I have finished that and stitched the more colorful version. So whenever possible with antique samplers, if the colors are really different on the back from the front, I like to do both versions. Sometimes they're not different. So the next sampler that I'm going to be reproducing, the colors from on the front and back are very, very similar. Like maybe the back is just slightly deeper, but not enough to like do 2 versions. So, but with wools, they tended to really, with samplers stitched in wools, they tended to really, really fade from like sunlight and exposure. And so a lot of times what you see on the front is very different. So, I stitched 2 versions of that. It's done. I'm waiting on frames. I've ordered frames and had them shipped ahead to our next stop. So, I should have those in a week, and then I will get them framed and I will make a video and release those and show you those. I'm really, really, really happy with how they came out. So, that's primarily what I've been stitching over the last 3 weeks, was that sampler, but I did finish some other things. So I'm doing a, Halloween swap with, hosted by Heather. Link is my homeboy. I'm not going to say who my partner is because that's a surprise, but I did finish my small for my Halloween swap. So here is my little witch, and I need to fully finish her. The only reason I haven't is because I don't have enough power to like plug in my iron. So when we get to the next stop, I'll be able to iron and do my full finish. And I'll try to remember to film a video of that before I ship this off. So this is Calico Confectionery Wicked. So I got this on Etsy as a PDF, and it came with both charts. So I did this one. I did do some color change. Instead of the orange, I've got green, I think is where I changed it. Or instead of the orange, I did the yellow, whichever. This is a Fortnite Fabrics 32 count linen. It's called Fright Night. It came in like a box, so I don't think you could ever get it again unless they decide they want to release it. But that is my Halloween exchange small. Heather is also going to host a Christmas like ornament exchange, but I did bow out of that because I don't know where I'm going to be. I might be in Mexico, so you know, I can't commit. Okay, so then I decided I want to finish some things. I want to get some whips done. I really haven't been in the mood to like start all the things, which is good. So the things when I feel like I need to start something, I'm trying to just like focus on like starting a reproduction sampler that I've charted versus like just starting a pattern I really love. But I know I know I'll start things. I've just seen some Needlework Expo releases, and I need literally everything that Kathy Barrick is releasing for Needlework Expo. I need a lot of stuff that Liz Matthews is releasing. Beth Twist has just today shown, or just yesterday, shown her morning sampler. It's like absolutely stunning. If I'm not lazy, I'll be inserting pictures of all of these things. Anyway, I'm sure I'll need to start some of those. So, but all that to say, I want to finish some things. I want to focus on finishing some works in progress, some whips. So, I looked at what I brought with me that I thought I could finish, because I didn't bring that many things with me. And I have been for years saying I need to just finish this Stone Street Stitch Works book house. It's a really small pattern. And I had this tree finished and I had the house finished. So all I needed to do was this tree and the words. And it's one of those projects, like I often would pull it going, that's so close to being finished. I'm going to finish that. And I would like pull it with an intention of doing it. And then I just like never got to it. So it's been 2 years that I've been meaning to finish this. So I finally got it out and I finished it in like 1 day. It was just so ridiculous that I was putting it off for so long. So this is on 36 count XG Design fabric in the color Desert Sand. And I did change all the colors. I don't even remember what it called for, but I just grabbed like really random stuff from my stash of floss. And I actually did change the colors because you can see on this, it's more like red, burgundy, and blue. And I did mine burgundy and like a olivey green. And the text is like a dark brown, and I did mine in the navy that I had done the trim on the house. So I just thought that kind of tied it in a little better. The quote is, "I lived in books more than I lived anywhere else." That's a quote from Neil Gaiman. And I'm really happy to have this finished. Part of what prompted me to get this out and finish it is that Bridget, the museum stitcher, had just finished hers. And I was like, oh, I brought that with me. Like, I need to just finish that. So she did inspire me to get mine done. And then I did start something. So I know I was just talking about how I haven't been super tempted to start all the things. But what has tempted me is I like small, like when new patterns come out and they look like small, quick finishes. I do like to do those like safts, a start and a finish. Because they don't increase my whip count, but I still get to like start something new. So I guess what I should say is I'm trying to stay away from starting really big projects right now. But Marissa, my friend Marissa, she's Kissa Creations on Etsy, and she doesn't release a lot of patterns, but a couple times a year she'll just drop something, and it's always like something I love. So I love everything she designs, and I've got a couple of her patterns. Well, no, I've got the Practical Magic pattern that I need to just finish all the witches at the bottom. But anyway, I love what she does. So she just out of nowhere just dropped this lobster catch biscornu. And I was like, that is the cutest thing. So I grabbed it and I stitched it. Now, I'm calling this a finish, but technically it's not, because I ran out of DMC 312, which is this blue color. So here's the front of the biscornu, and then here's the back. And I ran out of 312, so I need, once I can get a skein when we're in Park City at Michael's, I just need to finish this square. I need a square here, a square here, and then a couple of little, I have like 45 stitches of the blue left. So I couldn't quite finish it because I ran out. But otherwise it would have been a complete finish, but not fully finished, because now I have to look up tutorials on how to make a biscornu, which I've heard is very easy. I just don't know how to do it. But this is Lobster Catch, and I think it's just the cutest. It's stitched up so fast. I think really about 2 days. I mean, I think technically it was 3 days, but if I had pushed, I could have finished it in 2 days. And this is a 14 count Aida that I dyed myself, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I had to get creative because I didn't have access to an L&S. So I went to Michael's, I got some 14 count Aida because that's all they had. And then I think actually it might have been Walmart, because Michael's did have 28 count Monaco. But at the time I didn't have a Michael's. So I went to Walmart, I got some 40 count Aida, and then I got, tie-dye. I like to use the tie-dye dye for fabric. It works great. It's the powder. It's a powder in a tube, and you add water and shake it up. And then instead of tie-dyeing, I just like saturate my fabric. I left it sit for like 6 hours, and then I rinsed it, and it's beautiful. It does have like some modeling. It's not going to give you like a solid dye. So I don't know how well you can see, but there's just a slight modeling on here, and it's just, I think it came out so good. So I'm really happy with that. And I thought it would be perfect for this, and it was. So those were all my finishes. So then that piece of Ada that I dyed, I had some left, and then Dee from Dee's 20 Stitches released a new pattern, and I was like, Dee, I literally like just dyed some fabric, and I think it might work for that too. So the pattern is called Sailor's Delight. So it's a collaboration with Dee from Dee's 20 Stitches and Kari from Uncanny Kari. So Kari is an artist. I think she primarily does maybe like watercolor paintings. And then Dee actually takes Kari's designs and like translates them into cross stitch, and they collaborate and come up with ideas and like new patterns, and really like come up with some beautiful stuff. So they're both very talented, and when they come together, I think they are really creating something really special. So anyway, so I saw this pattern and I just loved it immediately, and it looks like it'll be a really fast stitch. It's small. It's like 93 by 100. It's not big at all. So it's called Sailor's Delight, and it features a trans merman. And I just got a little start. So on the leftover piece of fabric, I just started at the top center and I did this star last night. But I'm excited to get back and get more done. So let me take this off of the Q-snap at the bottom here, just so you can see more of the fabric. That's my fabric I did with tie-dye dye. I think it came out really good. I really like it. But yeah, there's my little start. So for my haul, part of my haul would be the Sailor's Delight pattern and the M. Kissa lobster catch biscornu. Those were in my haul. Right now, all I've been hauling is like PDFs. Because it's hard to get stuff shipped. It's not impossible, but it takes some logistical thinking and timing, and I'm not always up for it. So what I've worked on since last video, I had got all caught up on the Witchy Stitcher Supernatural Stitch Along. However, she did release another section last Friday, so I'm one behind now, but it's only Tuesday, so I have until Friday to get caught up again. So this is the Supernatural Sal. So what I did, and it only took me, I think, a day and a half. I got I got these two done quick, and then I got this done in like a day. The zombie was really fast. So some of these stitch up really quickly. So the one she just released is the Jen, which is over here. So I'm going to have to do all this border. So that one's going to take a little longer because I'm trying to do the border as I go. And so the border, it's a mirror of this. So I have to do all this, but it'll be fine. It won't take too long. And I'm doing like the called for colors, and this is 40 count color in cotton. It was a fabric of the month a couple months ago, in the color Sweet Tea. And I'm really loving this stitch along, and I'm actually trying really hard to keep caught up with it because I did not keep up with the cryptid stitch along. And so I'm trying to do better with this round, but no promises. And then my last work in progress, when this is my car stitching project. So this is Celestial Gothic. It's by a designer, a UK designer called Innocent Bones. And it's a plastic canvas kit. Of course, you could stitch this on fabric, but I actually got the kit with the plastic canvas. And it really is a great travel project because it only has like 4 colors and, well, 5 colors. And you don't have to have a Q-snap or a hoop. The plastic canvas is like sturdy enough that you just stitch it in hand. So it cuts down on like bulk and weight. And it's just, and the plastic canvas has it's 14 count, big old holes, really easy to see. So it's really a great travel project, and I feel like I can do a lot on this in the car. It's been really nice. So this round I did like almost all of this down here. I feel like I'm closing in on a finish pretty soon with this one. And I really love the design. This snake took forever, and it took, I feel like a whole skein and a half of 310. It was intense. So I'm not looking forward to repeating that snake over here. But it's fine. It's fine. So you can see, I mean, this half is just mirrored over here. So you can kind of tell like what the overall design will look like. The kit didn't come with like a preview of that. So I usually have to insert a picture, but I don't know if I'm going to feel like doing that this time. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, so that's all my stitching. So I did buy a couple other things. So I told you about the Lobster Cash Biscornu, and I bought Sailor's Delight from D & Kari. And then I bought from Michelle at Mama Loves You GB. I went on, she had a sale for her birthday, and I had been meaning to pick up her chart. It's called Susanna Eccles. I'm looking at my notes. Susanna Eccles 1853. When she showed this, it was so beautiful. I can't remember why. I couldn't like go buy it right then. So I kind of made a mental note to go buy it later. And then she posted that she was having a sale. And so I was like, oh, no time like the present. So I went and picked up Susanna Eccles 1853. I think it's gorgeous. While I was at her shop, I also picked up Nessie Mitchell 1929. This is just a simple like one color tiny little chart. And I think I just really love it. I think it's really pretty. So I grabbed that. And then Tuscan Cardinal had made, they had designed a pattern inspired by the latest season of Stranger Things. And it featured Eddie, who was a new character who everyone like just fell in love with. And it was called The Bard. And she was showing like as she was stitching it. And I was like, oh, I love that. I'm going to need that. And then she released it, and I think it got taken down almost immediately from Etsy for, like intellectual property infringement, something, because although it's definitely like her own design, it's, whatever, Stranger Things, like the owners came after her. So she had to kind of pivot. So she said, okay, fine. I'm going to do it this way. Make a donation to the charity that I don't have the name of it. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's the band Metallica. It's their charity, and it's a charity that focuses on like feeding the hungry. So she said, go make a donation, send me a screenshot, and then I will email you the pattern. So that's what I did. And so I have it. Haven't started it yet. Don't know when I'm going to start it, but I wanted it. So it's called The Bard from Tuscan Cardinal. And I don't know how long she's going to be doing this. I don't know if it was a limited time or not. So I'm sorry if it's not available any longer. But go to her Instagram and you can see the post and see if you can still get it. And then the last thing I purchased was, I totally blame Megan Wide-Eyed Stitching Child. She is my biggest enabler. Well, one of my biggest enablers. Like mostly when I watch her floss tubes, I already like own or have stitched or want to stitch what she's showing. Like I love everything she does. But I was watching her newest floss tube and she showed this pattern, and I don't know how I had missed it because it wasn't like a new, I think she'd shown it before and I must have just not like, I don't know, not processed it, but whatever. She showed this pattern. So it's From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, and it's called Hannah Hetherington, and she showed her progress. And I was just like, that is so beautiful. So I paused and I went and bought it immediately. And luckily From the Heart Needle Art on their Etsy shop, they do put most of their patterns up as PDFs. So I was able to buy it as a PDF and get it right away. So I do blame Megan, Wide-Eyed Stitching Child, for this purchase. Hannah Hetherington, absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if the picture's doing it justice, but like when Megan showed it, I was just like, Be Still My Heart. Be Still My Heart. Okay, that's all the stuff I bought. So, you know, my haul sections are pretty small because I don't have space for things. I don't have access to things. So I'm trying to not buy as much. Although all bets are off when I go to the LNS next week, or this week. It's actually this week I'm going. All right, that is all the stitching. I'm done. I'm done with stitching. I'm just going to talk about books now. So if you don't want to hear about books, that's totally cool. You can leave now and you're not going to miss anything. If you're still here, let's talk about books. I am flying through books because here's the thing. I'm not reading a physical book much at all. Some days I don't even, I always have like a book, a paperback usually. But some days I don't even crack it open. But I listen to an audiobook pretty much every day. And I read an ebook on my Kindle every night in bed. So I haven't read a lot of physical book, but I have listened to tons of audiobooks. And I've read my ebooks. I'm a little slower with those because I do like nod off and so they can take a little longer. So anyway, here's what I've read. It's a lot. So, okay, there's an author, Kate Stewart, and my sister recommended me to read her Ravenhood trilogy last year, and she was like, "Oh, it's so good. You have to do it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It was so good." And so I did read it. And I absolutely loved it. And I've told many friends, like, you have to read this. It's so good. So it's just like super, super, super angsty romance, contemporary romance. And it's like very spicy. And, she's just really good at like, just the angst, right? Just like making you like, not know, like a lot of times I think a lot of her work, it's like there's two male love interests and you don't know who she's going to choose or which one you want her to choose. And anyway, so the Ravenhood trilogy, highly recommend. It's on Kindle Unlimited, or it's like very reasonable. It's often like 99 cents on Amazon if you want to just like buy the books. But if you have Kindle Unlimited, they're part of Kindle Unlimited. So I love that series. And so she had another series. Well, she had a book called Drive, and I think it was a standalone, but she announced a couple months ago that she was going to release a sequel called Reverse. And so like I had wanted to read it anyway, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna read this because this Reverse is coming out. So I haven't read Reverse yet, but I will. It's out now. But anyway, Drive. So I read Drive by Kate Stewart. Absolutely loved it. I think Kate Stewart is definitely just an author that's going to be like an auto buy for me. Although her books are on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't actually have to buy them. Drive and Reverse are on Kindle Unlimited as well. So, Drive features, it's set in, like 2005, and it features, the main character. I'm so bad about this, like just totally forgetting names. I know her name. I just can't think of it right now. Isn't that horrible? I know it. It's not coming to me. Anyway, she moves to Austin, Texas. She's fresh out of college and she's like trying to, be a music journalist. So she moves to Austin because of the music scene, and she falls in love with this guy named Reed. I do remember that. I don't know why I can't think of her name right now. It's like on the tip of my tongue. It's going to come to me in a second. Anyway, she falls in love with Reed, but I'm going to be vague. I'm not going to, I don't do spoilers. Things happen. They're driven apart. She meets this other guy, and then the book is basically like, who is she going to end up with? Like, does Reed come back in the picture? And this is the angst because they're both, she's loved them both and they're both really good guys. Who's she going to pick? So that's kind of the basis of it. But it's got like a kind of a rock and roll vibe to it because she's a music journalist. Reed is in a band, etc. So I loved it. It's contemporary romance, really spicy. Kate Stewart really tugs at those heartstrings. So it was really great. My physical book that I was reading the last couple of weeks was a nostalgic blast from the past. Jude Deveraux, A Knight in Shining Armor. So this is a historical romance. It came out, I believe, it was in the 80s. So copyright 1989. I remember reading this in the 90s when I was like 14 and I would steal my mom's historical romance novels. I mean, she knew I was reading them, so I shouldn't say like I was stealing them, but I remember going in her room and being like, I don't know, I guess I'll read this one. So I had read this so long ago and it stuck with me. I remembered this book. Not like all the beats of it, but I remembered a lot of it. And I had always wanted to reread it. So I found it for like 99 cents at the thrift store. So it's a historical romance from the 80s. These do not age well, I'll be honest. And I've talked about this before. This one's not super problematic, but some of them can be really like very questionable consent and like misogyny. And some of it you're like, well, that was the time, right? It was historical, but I mean, just sometimes they don't age well. But yeah, this one is featured. So it starts in modern day, being the 80s. It starts in modern day, and Douglas Montgomery is the female protagonist. And she is in this like crappy relationship, and he like drives off and leaves her at this church in England they're on vacation. And she's like weeping in the church, and then this knight in shining armor shows up. So basically like this guy it's like Outlander in reverse. This guy travels from the 1600s, I think it is, to meet her in present day. And so it's okay, someone drove by, but they were pretty quick. So it's that fish out of water. So, yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was a fun historical romance romp. It's not aged great, I'll be honest, but this book was incredibly popular when it came out. So late 80s, early 90s. This book is very beloved by historical romance readers. But it's hard. She's a total doormat. She lets people walk all over her. She does like everything she can to please this guy that she wants to propose to her, but like he's a total jerk. And so for most of the book, you're just like, stand up for yourself. Like, stop letting people treat you this way. And so I think that's why it's hard to connect to her now, because I don't know, I guess like I think we as a society have come a lot further where we would like never tolerate someone being treated this way. So it hasn't aged great, but you know, there's also this really weird like fat shaming of a child in this book. So the boyfriend at the beginning of the book has a daughter, and I think she's like 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there. And she is a piece of work. Like, she's a little brat. But like Douglas spends like the whole book like talking about how she's fat, like not talking about how she's a brat or how she's, you know, like a manipulative whatever. Like, she just talks about how she's fat and therefore like a sniveling brat or so. It's not a good look. It's very odd. And I know I was watching a booktuber who also complained about that, actually like started reading this and then had to like stop it because she's like, I cannot deal with the fat shaming of the child. Don't care if the child's a brat. Like, what are we doing? So anyway, there's that. I don't even know. I think I gave it 3 stars. Like, it was, you know, it was fun to revisit, but it's not great. Okay, so then I read on Kindle, The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. This is a young adult heist, like I guess it's a fantasy. Yeah, it's a fantasy. So it's a young adult, but this book gets recommended for fans of Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which is like a very, very beloved young adult fantasy series I love. So a lot of times people are like, I'm finished Six of Crows, like I have a book hangover, like what else is there that's like this? And a lot of people recommend the Gilded Wolves, and I get it. Like the whole time I was reading it, I could totally get it. The characters are different, the magic is different, the situations are different, but it's got that found family, like band of misfits who are con artists who are pulling off heists. So that is the vibe. I enjoyed it very much. I love Six of Crows more. I gotta say, it didn't quite live up to Six of Crows, but it was really good. And a lot of like little things were teased that definitely make me want to like come back for the sequel. So I think there's 3 books total. Well, I know there's 3 books out. I don't know if it concludes with a 3rd book or if there's going to be another. But I will absolutely continue this series. So it's set in France, and I think it's in, I want to say it's like Victorian France, I think. Well, Victorian would describe England, but it's in that time frame. Anyway, there is a magic in this world. There are people who are called forgers who can manipulate like elements or objects or minds. There's different ways they can manifest these like abilities, but not everybody can do it, only a select few. And it's like highly regulated, and some of the people in this band of misfits are forgers and some aren't, and they are trying to like steal a magical object. They're not quite sure what it's going to do or what it can do, but they know it like would have a big payoff. So that's the book. It's a heist, but it does end with like some cliffhangers, some loose threads, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were really well developed, and a nice like diverse cast. I think young adult really does better with that than traditional adult published fantasy. There are people of color, there are queer characters. I think everybody in this book is bisexual, or it feels that way, at the very least. But it's really, it's a nice mix. And I really enjoyed like the character development and then the interactions between the characters. Of course, there's some angsty romance in there, so I will continue. So next I started a series that I've been meaning to check out. So it's by Scarlett St. Clair, and it's a Hades and Persephone's retelling. But it's a whole series. So the first book is A Touch of Darkness. And then there is like a spin-off series that's from Hades' point of view. So A Touch of Darkness is from Persephone's point of view. So then we get Hades' point of view in a book called A Game of Fate. And then the second book in the series is A Touch of Ruin. And then there's a Hades version. So it's kind of like you can read them like tandem. And so I started this series because my library actually had them available as audiobooks, and they didn't have a long wait list. They were actually like immediately available. So I started it. It's an adult like fantasy romance, like spicy books. I had heard kind of mixed, like I'd heard like, yeah, they're all right. Like, or some people like, I think didn't really enjoy the series. I've read the first 2 and then the first Hades spinoff. So I read A Touch of Darkness, then I read A Game of Fate, and then I read A Touch of Ruin, mostly because they're quick audiobooks and they were there at the library, and like, why not? I enjoy them. I'm not wowed. I don't think I would ever like reread them, but they're like fun in the moment. So I said it's a Hades and Persephone's retelling, but what it is it's like set in modern day Greece. So they're in New Athens, and the gods are known. People know about them, but they're basically celebrities. They own nightclubs. They record music. They're celebrities that are like the paparazzi are writing stories about them, trying to photograph them. Hades is a very secretive god. Like nobody's ever photographed him, but he does own nightclubs. People know about him. Nobody knows what he looks like. Persephone is a goddess, but she is posing as a mortal. Nobody knows about her. Her mother has kept her identity a secret. So even like the gods on Mount Olympus do not know about Persephone. She's the goddess of spring. And so she is living as a mortal. She's like, her powers haven't manifested. She is in disguise and she wants to be a journalist. So she's in school for journalism and she's like chasing a story. And that brings her to Hades nightclub and they meet and then it goes from there. So it was good. I mean, I wasn't like blown away by it, but it was decent. I think I gave it like 4 stars out of 5. The spice, it's very spicy. It gets very spicy. So then I listened to an audiobook on Audible Plus. So Audible Plus is like Kindle Unlimited, but for audiobooks. And so I had read the first book in this series. So the author is Penny Reed, and it's the Winston Brothers series. I can't remember the actual title of the first one, but the second one is called Grin and Bear It. And no, Grin and Beard It. Sorry, they're all like a play on beards. So I read this. I listened to the second one on Audible Plus. Blah. And it was really cute. I really enjoyed the first one. Like I remember being really surprised. Like I had no expectations and I like had a really good time. And so the second one, same thing. Like they're quick contemporary romance books. They're really funny and charming and easy. Like there's not a lot of drama. They're not angsty. There's a little angst, but not much. So they're really fun. So I will continue with this series. I really enjoyed the second book. I thought the female main character was just like hysterical. And it made it really fun. So that was a really good time and I'll keep going. There's like 10, there's a bunch of them. So then from the library, I finished a series that I had been meaning to finish. I got on audio from my library, Gods and Monsters by Shelby Mahurin. This is the 3rd book. The first book is Blood and Honey. The second book, no, maybe the second book was Blood and Honey. What was the first book? I'll put it up here because I just like, I can't, it's not coming to me. Anyway, this is no, it's not young adult. It's new adult. It's a new adult fantasy. So this is that gap between young adult and like, I guess adult. Sarah J Maas, like her books get put in there too. So they're like fantasy with like younger characters. They're 18, 19, 20. And they just don't quite read like adult fantasy, but they have sex. So it's like, it gets lumped into this new adult. Technically it's adult, I guess, if we're being technical. It's adult, but they appeal to young adult and they frequently get like filed in the young adult section even when they shouldn't be. Anyway, so this series, Serpent and Dove. The first one was Serpent and Dove. The second one was Blood and Honey. The third one was Gods and Monsters. So this was like this author, this was her first endeavor in writing. So Serpent and Dove was her first book. And I thought it was solid. It was good. It wasn't perfect. There's some hiccups here and there. The series gets very mixed reviews. And I think a lot of that is because the main characters aren't particularly likable. I actually really like the female lead, Lou. But she is one of those people who some people would find very annoying and would not like. She's very snarky, sarcastic, does what she wants, which I like, but I can see how some people wouldn't like her. However, the male love interest, Reed, is just a total asshole, like the entire series. So, it's hard to see what they see in each other and why she continues to put up with this jerk. Anyway, he does have like this kind of redemption, but then in the 3rd book, he basically gets amnesia. It's like, I mean, there's a whole reason for it, but he basically gets amnesia and like reverts back to like the Reed we met at the beginning of the first book, who was just a total dick. And so you're sitting there in the 3rd book, like, here we go again with this guy. Like, really? I thought we like had finally been like, okay, he's seen the error of his ways. Like, we can get on board with this. And now we're back to square one. So like, that was a very frustrating, really weird choice by the author to do that. I'm not sure what she was thinking with that, but anyway, it's fine. Like, it's witches, werewolves, there's mermaids in this third book, which was pretty cool. But basically Lou is a witch whose mother is trying to sacrifice her because like if she is sacrificed, then the witches will get all this power and like their power will wane if she's not sacrificed or something. It's like a little convoluted. And then Reed is a witch hunter basically. And like, but they end up in like an arranged accidental marriage and then they fall in love. So like, it's fine. The reason I listened to the third one on audio is because they are really long books, and I guess I didn't care like that much. Like, I wanted to finish the series, but I also didn't care that much. So I was like, I'll just listen to it. So, I don't know, like she gets recommended for people who really like Sarah J. Maas, but maybe are looking for something new. But it's not as good. They're not as good as Sarah J. Maas books, like if I'm being honest, but they're pretty good. So, I mean, I wouldn't say don't check it out, but I'm glad the series is done. This is an author I would read more though. Like, I read 3 long books by her. I'm interested to see what she does next. I would check her out again. I do think her writing has grown. And I'm interested. Okay, the last thing I read, I just finished last night. So I finished The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. This is on Kindle Unlimited right now. I actually own this in paperback, but it's in storage. So I made a list like of all the books I had to put in storage. So if my library had it or Kindle had it, or Kindle Unlimited had it, then I definitely like tucked it in storage and said, I'll just read it electronically. So, The Charm Offensive is, a male romance, and it's set on like a reality TV show like The Bachelor. It's basically like The Bachelor, but it's called Ever After. And that's kind of why I hesitated to pick this up, because I can't watch The Bachelor and all those shows. Like, I get too much secondhand embarrassment, and also I just don't care. And so that was always kind of like a turnoff for me. But then I saw several people who were like, no, this book is so good. I really loved it. And so I finally decided, like, I'm going to just read it. And I just finished it last night. I read it really fast because I like couldn't put it down. It was so good. I really liked it. So it features a man called Charlie. He goes on the show to be like the next Bachelor. But what's really going on is Charlie is asexual, although maybe he hasn't figured that out yet. But he doesn't like experience any sexual attraction. He's never had a girlfriend. But he doesn't know he's gay. He really doesn't. But he has severe OCD, anxiety disorder, and it's caused some problems. He's brilliant. He's started like a tech company. He's well off. But he has lost his job. The board had like a vote of no confidence after he had like a horrible panic attack at a board meeting. Basically he needs to rehabilitate his reputation and show that like he isn't like crippled by anxiety or something. I don't know. So he goes on this show like to prove to them that he can like be social and functional, I guess. It's kind of it's, you know what, it's one of those premises that you're like, just go with it. So anyway, Charlie gets on the show, and then Dev is one of the producers on the show. So he like helps coach the talent. So he gets assigned to help coach Charlie because Charlie's really struggling with like interacting with the women contestants on the show, and he's having panic attacks and all these things. So like Dev is there to like kind of like get him through it. And then they fall in love basically. So it was really well done. It was really amazing representation, like people of color, queer people of all kinds, like the producers and assistants and stuff on the show also like are on all spectrums of mental health rep and sexual identity. So it was very cool to see that, and to just see people be very accepting and supportive of people who are dealing with severe mental health issues, and sexual identity issues. So it was, I thought it was handled very well. It felt to me like it was handled just very respectfully. And the romance was really sweet. The two characters, like, you just really fall in love with both of them, and you want them to get that happily ever after. But the show is this huge, like, antagonist, because Charlie is supposed to fall in love with one of these women and propose to them. But in the meantime, behind the scenes, he's falling in love with a man. And there's this, there's all this drama about that. So there is a resolution, and I don't want to spoil it, but So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I really would recommend you check that out if that sounds, it's a contemporary romance, but it's definitely got a spin, and it was really, really good. I loved it. Those are all my books. I've been talking about books for a while, but I read a lot of books. So, all right, that's all I've got. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.